This episode of Rolled Up is brought to you by Adidas Combat Sports and Defense Soap. I'm an avid traveler, CEO of BudoVideos.com, and lifelong student of the martial arts, who strives to know more about the competitors and instructors who are revolutionizing the jiu-jitsu lifestyle. Join me in my journey as I train, learn, and get rolled up. The netcast by the Gracie family spreads throughout the globe far and wide. But living in SoCal, I don't have to travel any further than the Southern California coastal gem of San Diego. Less than 2 hours from Budo headquarters, San Diego is best known for its mild, year-round climate, but more importantly, for its deep saturation of jiu-jitsu. One of the many standouts in the birthplace of California is Clark Gracie. Known for his model good looks and omnipresent omoplatas, Clark is the son of Carley Gracie, a 9th degree red belt, and has trained extensively with Carlson Gracie black belt Rodrigo Medeiros. So Clark, let's talk about growing up Gracie. You grew up under one of the toughest Gracies of all time, your father, Carley Gracie. We all hear stories about kids in the Gracie family growing up and being encouraged to fight at a young age. Was that the environment at your household?
Yeah, fighting was always definitely around me. You know, my father's academy, and then, from as far back as I can remember, I remember my dad just playing jiu-jitsu with me, playing guard with me, and having me learn takedowns. And then, once I started, I'm in school, kindergarten, I remember, some kid pushed me off the monkey bars, and my dad's like, oh, I got to show you how to, defend yourself. So it was definitely something that was involved in my life from a very early age.
At what age did you realize what your family name really meant?
Well, it was something, I remember seeing, my name on the Gracie name on T-shirts and thinking whoa, that's cool, some of my uncles would bring me shirts or something like that from their academy, and then my dad had his academy, and I started getting more involved in that. And I guess once the UFC started, I was about 10 years old, 10 years old. Then I started hearing a lot more, kids at school, especially when I got to middle school, it was becoming pretty popular. So people would really be like, oh, are you Gracie? Are you related to Royce Gracie? And, just they got that hype going. And I was like, wow, I guess this is something really, really big.
Nowadays at, say, for example, the World Championships, and many times you're the only member of the Gracie family in the whole event. Does that bring any additional pressure on you or pride?
Yeah, sometimes I forget to think about that, but I'm definitely proud to be a representative of my family in jiu-jitsu, in sport jiu-jitsu, and also just overall for the art of jiu-jitsu. Pressure, I've definitely felt a lot of pressure, and I think I've learned over the years to just kind of let that slide by and not really affect my performance too much. I've had a lot of people tell me, don't go out there and try to compete with the weight of your family name behind you, because you're fighting some of the guys that are best in the world. They're fighting amazing jiu-jitsu athletes out there, and if you lose, then you're losing against one of the best guys in the world. If you win, then great, congratulations. But something that I had to kind of let go, so I don't have to have all that pressure on me when I was competing.
For some people that might not know your father, what does your father represent in the art of jiu-jitsu?
My father has been recognized a lot as being the pioneer of jiu-jitsu. He was the first one to leave Brazil and start teaching jiu-jitsu outside of the country, outside of Brazil, which was really getting big and really getting strong within the family, and especially in Rio, in the 60s and 70s. And at that time he was a champion. He was undefeated as an MMA Vale Tudo champion and in sport jiu-jitsu as well. And then he came to the United States in the early 70s, so he was actually the first one to come. And I believe he was also the first one to go to Europe and start teaching that too. So once people started seeing how he was doing, a lot of people started coming, his brothers, his cousins, started following him out.
The war raged for generations. No amount of bravery and conviction could end the infected, unyielding rage. And with every battle, the evil grew, changed, evolved. The warriors needed nothing short of a miracle to stop the infection, and a miracle they received. Your body is at war against skin infections and diseases each time you step onto the mat. Protect yourself against the invasion. Defend Soap. Defend what you have built.
Clark, you grew up training at your dad's academy in San Francisco. Then you moved down here to San Diego to train with Rodrigo Medeiros. Why did you move down here?
Well, I really moved down here because I really like San Diego. I like the atmosphere, the outdoors, and the beach and the weather. I also heard Rodrigo Medeiros had a great competition team, and I had been introduced to him by my father. And he's also a student of Carley Gracie, and so all that, that bond, that lineage all really goes together. My dad, was Carlson's partner back in Brazil when they were younger in the academy, and it was, for me, it was a decision to come down mostly for the lifestyle of being in San Diego, and Rodrigo being here was a great plus.
Rodrigo, 2 or 3 years ago, moved to Hong Kong, so he's not here in San Diego now. Who are you training with to get ready for the bigger competitions?
Really, I've been really lucky to have been able to form a good team around me now. I have a lot of brown belts and quite a few black belts that are training in my school and really focus on the competitions. So I've been able to put together a good group of training partners that they're always pushing me. These guys like to compete also. A lot of guys right around my weight, so it's perfect.
There's some people out there that believe that you have to train with a lot of guys that are high level to get ready. In fact, some of your cousins have gone to the Atos training camps to train with some of those guys. Do you believe in that philosophy?
I mean, it's definitely good to train hard and be able to be challenged on a regular basis. I've also heard cases where people are training with white and blue belts and winning world championships. I have been training with a few guys that have been coming up with me, like Rafael Dalinha, Brandon Magana, two of my best training partners. My brother Ralston just moved down here last year, so those three guys pushed me a lot. And we're starting to get more guys that are hearing about our good training sessions in San Diego, and they're coming to train with us. Some good brown belts, purple belts, and even now some black belts are coming to seek out training with us.
So for you, getting ready for the biggest tournaments like the World Championships, what's the most important thing for you? Is it having quality training partners?
Yeah, I mean, I have a great physical trainer as well that really helps me. But I think the most important thing is just having people that I can trust around me, having people that I can trust during training, and having people that I know I can count on to be there, have the same goals as I do, so that we can all move together in that direction. That also gives me a lot of motivation, because if I'm by myself just trying to train and trying to drag people in, hey, come train with me today, if I have to do that, it's harder too. So to be able to have people that have the same goals as me, the same motivation is really a blessing.
Clark, let's talk about the finish. More than a lot of other guys, you seem to be really focused on getting the submission in competition. How important is that to you?
To me, it's everything. What is Jiu-Jitsu really? Jiu-Jitsu is about defending yourself, putting an end to the fight, right? I mean, the finish is showing like the really real results. So, whether it's somebody out on the street or it's in competition, you're ending the fight with a submission that's stopping your attacker, your aggressor, your opponent from being able to continue, right? So that to me is everything. If I win on points, like, I'm usually not very happy, but I'm always going for the finish, and I'm even noticing sometimes my style does not even favor points, because sometimes I'm giving up points as I'm going for submission. So that's why I am really interested actually in other kinds of rules other than federation rules, sometimes submission only rules, and testing with things like that.
It seems like the submission you get the most often is the omoplata. Do you feel like that's something that you're going for, or does the opportunity present itself more often than not?
Well, I suppose it started as something that just presented itself, and I just kind of fell into it kind of easily. And then once I started realizing that I'm kind of got a knack for it, I'm getting good at it, then I started drilling it and finding more and more ways to get into it. And I guess like anything that you drill and really try to get better at, spend time studying, it's going to naturally be something you're going to be good at.
What do you like about the omoplata submission?
I like that it's a common thing to catch from different kinds of situations. I like that it's unique to me, that I do things out of the omoplata that no one's ever done before. And also, I think it's a position that your whole body is wrapped around the person's shoulder in a position where the person is not very strong, you know. So in a lot of the ways, it's a strong position to use for a weaker person against a stronger person. And even a guy with big, strong, muscular shoulders, you can still catch him. It's not difficult, and sometimes the stronger the guy, sometimes the less flexible also, so even easier to finish.
Some of your matches I've seen, once you're down on points or the time is running out, something inside you really pushes you to go hard. One of the matches that comes to mind was the one against Marcelo Mafra in the finals of the Pans, and you were down on points. There's only 20 seconds left, and you just exploded and you made the submission happen at the end. Do you find that you perform better under that kind of pressure?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I don't like to be like have too much anxiety when I'm fighting, but I think, you know, sometimes when I feel like I really got to win, I say, okay, like now I just got to give it everything I got and just go for it. I got to really push and dig my way through and get the best I can get. So sometimes it makes good results come out, but I like to not have to fight with time limit. I like to not have to fight with the pressure of the clock on you. You know, I like to think, okay, I'm going to find a way to finish this guy no matter what, but not think that, you know, you have that time limit there. You know, in that fight with Lapella in the finals at the Pan Ams last year, it was an awesome victory, really nice finish, one that I have been training a lot. You know, sometimes I get omoplata, like in that case, in a situation where it just kind of falls into place. And I remember specifically in that match, I was getting past the guard. I was just almost past, and I remember at some point I had to switch my grip to where I was holding him. He was trying to turn away from me. I had to switch a grip to grab his arm, and when I went to grab his arm, he turned out. And exactly at that moment, he turned to his knees, grabbed my leg, and by instinct, it just caught on, and I went through with the omoplata from there. So it was almost without thinking, which felt really great, you know, not having to actually plan it out in strategy, find my way into it, but just naturally falling into place.
That's one of the highest profile tournaments there are. You were in the finals, and he hadn't tapped yet. You had the choke locked in. You still had him in the omoplata, but you took the time to give a thumbs up to the camera. Why would you take that risk?
Well, I think I was getting excited that I was getting into submission, and I was feeling, you know, each second went by, I was feeling more and more confident with it. The day before, I had a match in the absolute. My second match was against Leo Nogueira, who won the super heavyweight that year in the Pan Ams, and I think the year before lost to Buchecha in the last 3 seconds of the absolute, if I'm not mistaken. And I was losing on points to Leo, and then I remember seeing a friend of mine, Francis, yelling to me in the corner of the stadium, "Clark, go, 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 like attack," you know. And I was thinking, man, okay, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try like really, really push for a finish. And then I actually got into omoplata, and I got the choke in, but it was over his face. But you know, in the process, I stalled a little bit because I thought, man, this guy is just too big. It's gonna be so hard to finish him. And right as it went into place for the choke, like under the chin, they called time. So, I mean, Lel was amazing. Like that fight, felt really good, like really strong, and smashed through my guard one time there. But I remembered that lesson in the next day, in that fight with La Pella, and I thought like, oh man, like is the same thing gonna happen like yesterday? Am I gonna run out of time? And then I got worried for a second. I looked at the clock and I saw, I think 30 or 20 seconds left. And then I was like, oh, okay, because I found myself in a good position to make the guy tap, and I knew I was gonna get it. But then I just thought, oh, what about the time? And then I looked at my corner and I gave him a thumbs up, like, oh man, I got it. Like, I saved the match.
That was great.
So, because of the physics of that move, I didn't need both hands, and it came out to be kind of a cool picture.